Phil, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You are very welcome, sir. How can I help you?
I kind of have that, I guess, classic issue of issues with boundaries with my parents and my brother and sister-in-law. I just recently got married, and obviously
Yeah.
I'm going to have to do a huge shift to allow my wife to now be the main priority in my life, besides the Lord, of course. And I'm been
Now,
having a really big
how
issue.
old are you, Phil?
Okay.
How old are you, Phil?
I'm 28.
28. Okay, just clarifying some words here. We said
Yeah.
you're going to make a shift from making her your main priority. A shift from what? What was
Right.
your main priority before?
I mean, I just have
It
kind of
sounded
growing
like
up
it was
with
your
my parents.
family. It sounded like it was your family. Is that right?
Yeah, it's my parents and my brother and sister-in-law have just kind of always tried to have a little bit of control over me, and I haven't really been able to, just because of the scenarios I've been in, because I've lived with them, or things like that, where they've
Okay.
kind of had the control over the environment. I haven't really been able to put any boundaries out.
Okay, so your main priority was kind of having to negotiate what they wanted, and now you've got somebody that you want to focus on her needs and your needs and your marriage's needs instead of what your family wants from you.
Correct. Yeah,
Well,
correct.
Phil,
And
let me start with one thing. I don't know if are you a person of faith?
yes, sir. Yeah, I met my wife in
Well,
church, so.
all right. Well, here's just a good thought for you to begin on in this path that you're talking about making your marriage number one.
Mhm.
You got God on your side. How about that for a teammate? That's what he says do.
I do.
So there you go. A and B, you got a lot of research on your side that if you
Yeah.
don't establish a clear boundary for your marriage and family apart from your family of origin, that makes you a child. And here's what the smart people say: we don't let children get married. So
Yeah,
if they're
definitely.
28 years old and they're a child obeying their parents and their wishes, then they're a child bride or a child husband, and that's against the law. So let's grow up and get some
Yeah.
boundaries. So I'm all for you, buddy. Give him some shout outs on
Thanks.
Instagram. Let's see those bubbles come up. Go, Phil. All right, I've said my piece. Now tell me the problem.
Basically, and I'm not going to give you the whole timeline because there's so much information. We'd be on here for an hour. My main question is, I've kind of gone through many trials and everything with them to try and kind of make those boundaries something that will be stable and not something that's just temporary. And I've kind of come to the point right now where
give me a couple of examples. What would be a boundary you need to be stable and not temporary?
Well, with my mother, I'll say is she gives a lot of unsolicited advice, just about really anything about the wedding, or I guess in one example that was recent is I had showed her, hey, here's my wedding ring that I picked out. Isn't it great? And she said, and instead of like congratulating me on it or liking it, she went straight to, well, you should have bought this ring instead. That ring, is too expensive or something like that. And I told her, hey, we already picked this one. We're really happy with it. I don't really want any
you
advice.
picked it with your bride? You picked it with your bride?
Yeah, we picked it with my bride. Yeah.
Okay.
And
all right.
And then afterwards, after telling her I didn't want any help, she would email and text me good rings or something to get. And so she's just kind of putting that negativity out there. And so that's just like one example. And like I said, that's not a huge
Phil,
boundary
that's amazing.
thing, but it's just
I love that one.
Yeah.
I love that one. After you've told her, she's texting you links to go find a different ring.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right.
So it's just small things like that.
All right. Well, so what's the problem?
So basically, the reason why I'm calling today is we've kind of gone through the unsolicited advice and just boundaries kind of within my family, and it's kind of come to the point where I'm like, if you guys aren't going to change or anything like that, I'm going to have to basically not communicate with you, or essentially shut you out, not forever, but they're kind of wanting to mend fences right away, and I'm kind of like,
What
I
are,
need my
what are,
time.
what are
And
they doing right now? I mean, let's go back to the ring example for a second. So I'm gonna be
yeah,
you, okay? I'm gonna say, hey, mom, I want you to play your mom. Will you role play this with
yeah, I got you.
me? Okay. All right. So, hey, mom, we got a ring. We went out and we shopped around. Look at it. Isn't this awesome?
Oh, great, honey. Did you get the ring that your father got that helps it not hurt your finger all the time?
I don't know. It's gonna hurt my finger. I don't think it will. No, I got this one. I've already bought it, mom. It's over.
Oh,
I'm not looking for
oh,
advice here. I
honey,
bought it.
you you really should get it. I can look online for you, and I'm sure it'll be really
Hey, mom,
cheaper. And
mom,
I just,
mom, 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 mom. You can go look. I appreciate your concern. You can go look, but I've already bought the ring. So this is over. If you want to waste
and
your time, look, I mean, if you want to do that, do it. I'm not buying another ring. So we're
honey, I
done.
don't think you understand because you've never bought a ring before, and you should just really listen to me as far as which ring you should get because your father got this ring and it was just ever so perfect, and you should just really have that one.
Hey, mom, I'm going to say this just one more time. Thank you for your concern. I don't want any more advice about the ring, and I'm not going to listen to any more advice about the ring. We're very happy. So if you choose to give it to me, I won't be opening those emails. And if you keep telling it to me, I'll end the conversation. I want to talk to you about all sorts of other stuff. The ring's not something I want to talk to you about. So we're done.
Yeah, and that's when we ended the call, and I still got all the text messages and email about which one to get. Which,
Well, when you know what,
obviously, I wasn't.
when you know when you don't reward behavior, it goes away. So if you don't answer those texts and you just ignore them, she's got a problem.
Well, and that's I didn't respond to those texts. I just kind of
Oh, good.
I'm sure it said red maybe on my thing, but yeah, I didn't respond to those. But it's not really exactly the ring that's the issue. It's
No, I
more
know.
of
I know.
I tell her something, yeah, that I'm doing, and she shoots it down essentially because she knows best or whatever. Like a lot of
Okay.
moms do, I'm sure, because they have kids. So
Well, not everybody tries to do it to the extent that you're talking about. So give me a question. Tell me how I can help. And before
so
I say that, what I would always like for people to do, so sometimes you don't have to get to the big separation, is deal with stuff in the moment with a little bitty boundary. I'm not going to have this conversation, Mom. If you keep talking, I'm going to hang up. If you deal with it in the
yeah,
moment, a lot of times you can train them along the way, and then they go bitch about it to each other, but not you anymore. So
yeah.
anyway, so what's the question?
So the main question I have is through all that stuff, all the kind of history you've had this last year with me getting married and everything, I've essentially just stopped communication with them. As I said, I can't, we're not getting along and you're not understanding me. So I'm just going to, not really talk to you right now. And it's not a forever thing, but it's just until I'm able to
Okay.
kind of gather my thoughts and stuff, which is fine. And it's only been about, 4 or 5 months. But they're kind of wanting to just solve all of our emotions right now and just semi act like nothing's happened, or they said that they've changed, and I haven't really seen any evidence that they've changed and things like that. And there's some people in the family or my father who I really look up to as far as wisdom and everything. They're like, you should just choose your mom. You just, you only have one mom, and I know
You
you're
should
kind of working
choose
this out, but I
her.
don't think those.
You should choose. What does you should choose your mom mean?
Basically, like your mom's not going to change, so you should just just kind of, she's always going to have that characteristic about her, and you should just really just essentially when she does something, just kind of turn the other cheek and don't deal with it. But I'm not able to do that now because I'm married and I have another family and things like
Well,
that.
hold on,
And I'm
hold on, Phil. I just want to. Here's what I'm wanting you to get to long term. I want you to get to where your mom's, because your dad's right. This is kind of what she does, right? She just gives advice, right?
mhm.
Right now, that's got too much power in your head, I think. And so I would like for you to just see it as noise. Well, no matter what kind of boundaries you end up drawing. If she's not going to change that, if you want to have a relationship with her, then probably it's going to be something like, Mom, I'm going to have a relationship with you, but there's a bunch of stuff that you're going to say that I'm not going to respond to, and I'm going to ignore. And I hope that's not frustrating to you, but I'm really going to ignore it. And so, because if you have a relationship with her, she's probably going to be like that. So anyway, I'm just putting that in your head so it doesn't have that much power. So she does continue to be mom. You can have some kind of relationship with her long term if it's possible. Now, if she were doing more egregious things, then I'd worry a little more. So again, what's the question?
I'm kind of wanting to. I don't have a time limit on how long I'm going to be doing this, so I'm just going to kind of be patient and kind of, think on it and everything like that. And my family is wanting to repair everything right this minute, and like it's really bad that I'm not willing to repair everything this minute. And I'm just kind of, I kind of don't. I'm not motivated right now to go back and mend fences because my life is good right now because I'm married and everything's going really well, and I don't. I mean, guaranteed marriage is its own thing, but I'm doing really well right now, and I don't really want to bring that drama back in.
Okay, so again, what is the question? I need a question. What's the question?
So I guess how long would it is going out a year, not talking to them too long, or should I really think, I should give this a little bit more thought and just mend fences anyway, even if I'm not feeling ready to do it, or?
Well, usually when I get a question of how long is the right amount, that's not an absolute number, right? What's the real number is, so how long does it take to boil an egg? Well, until the egg's done, right? So I think what you're asking is, what's it going to take? I'm going to change it from how long to what's it going to take. Okay. So remember earlier I said let's begin with the end in mind, like Stephen Covey said. Okay. If the end that we desire, and I would encourage you to desire this, everything we know says that long-term relationships with multi-generational ties and parents and grandkids and all of that is the ideal. So we should shoot for you having a functional relationship with your parents over many, many decades. You're going to need it. They're going to need it. The extended family is going to need it, and your children are going to need it. All right, if it's possible. Right. Sometimes that's not possible if you're with psychos. All right. So that's what we want to get to. So what I would want you to do is sit down and say, okay, if that's what's going to happen, if that's what we want to get to, what are the practices that have to be in place for that to happen? Well, and then you start to make those ground rules and you write them down. Okay. Number one would be, I need to feel like that my household, remember what Joshua said, choose you this day whom you're going to serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Y'all guys can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So you've got to, you and your wife, y'all have to have dominion over your marriage and your household. So that's number one. So what I would say to them is something like, we just need to understand, you guys, that we're adults now, we're married, and we're going to do things the way that we want to do them. Okay. Now we welcome input, but number two is, if we're getting input that we don't want, or we've already heard and we disagree with, that you have to respect. We want you to respect when we say we don't want to hear that anymore. And if you don't, then this is what will happen. And that's the kind of things that I was talking about earlier. And if you hold those mini boundaries, you don't have to have the big boundary of I'll never talk to you again. So then another thing that would have to happen is you've got to get to a place where you feel comfortable when they do stuff that it doesn't get you, off track. Okay. If you're driving down a freeway and a cop is in the lane next to you, they have authority over you, right?
Right.
And when they go on the microphone and say, pull over, you know, and you hear the big microphone happen, go to the pull over, saw that, you know, they got the lights on, then you feel pressure to go do that. Now, if some
Correct.
bozo is driving down the freeway next to you and says, pull over, you're not going to do it. So I want you to get psychologically to be an adult where when they do this, it becomes maybe a practical problem to be solved, but it doesn't become a psychological problem for you because they don't have any authority over you. And so back to your question, how long? I want you to get to a place like you're saying where you begin to feel like I'm so secure now in that I can stand up to them and not feel pressured and not feel bothered, just maybe mildly annoyed, that we can go back into this. So I would lay down the ground rules. And the second thing is in laying down these ground rules and making amends, it may be that you guys want to go see a family counselor together because the conversation between the two of you may get too toxic.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay. I've got to run to go to some other callers. I really appreciate your call, Phil, because this is a dynamic that, you know, for some parents, it's just hard for them to not be parents, right?
Yeah.
And for
Definitely.
like your dad said, for some characters like your mom, it's really hard for them to not be themselves. They just don't have
Yeah.
unexpressed thoughts, right? But you can get to a place in your adulthood where they don't have any power over you. That's the main thing I want for you. How you deal with them will
Okay.
flow from that. But and I want you to get my book Changes That Heal, because in the section there, it's got a section called Becoming an Adult. And this is where you'll take the power back from them. Then you'll be able to deal with them in a better way. Okay. Thank you for your call.
Gotcha.
And appreciate you bringing it up. Congratulations on your new happy marriage. And don't let those viruses infect it from a third party.